Hello everybody. So in this video we're going to look at two easy tests that you can do at home to basically check the state of your metabolism and even your overall health. So the first one that we're going to look at is testing your basal temperature. So your basal temperature being your body's resting temperature. So before we had testing of TSH and other tests that would test for thyroid function, doctors would ask a patient to test their basal temperature to get an idea of their metabolism and the state of their thyroid. So what they would do is get their patients to have a thermometer by their bed, and it was particularly required that they would have a mercury thermometer, and not many people use mercury thermometers nowadays, but they would have a mercury thermometer by their bed, and as soon as they'd wake in the morning, before they get up, before they do anything else, they were to pop that mercury thermometer under their armpit and leave it there for 10 minutes and then record their basal metabolic rate. And this then was proposed to give them an idea of their health overall, especially their thyroid health. So according to Dr. Rhoda Barnes, who's the author of Hypothyroidism, the Unsuspected Illness, a healthy body temperature should be around 36.6. I've always said between 36.5 and 36.8 is a good range to have to get an idea of metabolism and potentially thyroid health. So body temperature, it will and it should steadily rise throughout the day as you're moving around and eating more and everything. So that's quite normal. If it doesn't rise throughout the day, that's obviously a problem. But anything below this range of 36.5 to 36.8, it could indicate that there's a problem there. So like I said, most people nowadays, they're not using mercury thermometers, and most people don't. Not only are they not willing to wait 10 minutes, they don't have time to wait 10 minutes in the morning to find out what their basal temperature is. So although the mercury thermometer is more accurate, you can use a digital thermometer and you would just pop that in your mouth instead, and then get your results. When it comes to something like this, even when weighing on a scales, I kind of encourage people to do it 3 times and then get the average, just so we can kind of get a more accurate reading. So just so you have some understanding, one of the byproducts of a metabolism is heat. It is energy production. So when you eat, that food, maybe it's glucose, whatever it is, it gets oxidized or broken down in the cells, and then it gets burned in the mitochondria to give off heat and energy, and then you'll also get some carbon dioxide and water as well. So people that have a good metabolism per se, and they're somewhat healthy, they will produce a higher body temperature and they will have more energy as well. So that's one of the first things I hear with clients is my energy is good. So then the second thing is going to be taking your pulse or your heart rate. And according to Dr. Ray Peat, who is a nutritional researcher and biologist, the ideal heart rate for a healthy metabolism should range between 75 and 90 beats per minute. Now, of course, there's exceptions. There are people who are very fit. They can have a lower heart rate, especially when they're resting. But as you're going about your day, between 75 to 90 beats per minute, according to Dr. Ray Peat, is a good range. I would say 70 to even 100, especially if you're a fitter person. That gives you a nicer range. Generally, I don't like to broaden the ranges when we look at numbers, but because fitter, healthier people generally their heart is pumping more efficiently, their blood is more viscous, it moves easier, so that will affect heart rates and beats per minute. So despite popular belief, like having a low heart rate all the time is not a great idea. But when it's resting, like totally, I get down to 39 beats per minute when I'm resting, and that's when I have like my best sleeps and recovery. But this can just be a nice indicator. So what you would do is just take your heart rate a couple of times a day, and then you would also take your heart rate after a meal too. So take it before a meal and after a meal. If you find that when you eat your heart rate goes up, then that is a sign potentially of a good metabolism, because your body's taking that food and then it's using the food to produce energy and heat. If you find that when you eat that your temperature stays the same or even drops, then there's some sort of a problem there that needs to be looked at. Either your body's not metabolizing these foods or nutrients properly, maybe there's a stress factor that's impeding all of this, but that would be something that you'd need to look at. As always, stress plays a part. So stress hormones, they will rise in times of stress, and then thyroid hormones will lower in times of stress. So one, that can affect metabolism and your body temperature. But if these numbers are like lower long term, then that's a problem. So if it's an acute stress and you see changes in numbers, I wouldn't worry about it. You're going through something, but it's not long term. If it's long term and you're seeing it impact these numbers, then that's going to be a problem. So it should be noted that basal temperature is not the perfect test for thyroid. There's many conditions that can influence this, or even cause you to have a higher or lower reading. A fever, electric blanket, hot weather, cold weather, adrenaline, and in addition, there's conditions that are going to impact your heart rate as well. So it's not 100% accurate, but these are indicators that can be used by you. So things that might impact your heart rate, like I mentioned, would be if you're not very fit or you don't get much exercise, you have a history with inflammation, maybe blood clots, sticky blood, inflammaging as it's called. Maybe there's high blood pressure, even low blood pressure. Cancer could cause an impact. Anything that's going to be very stressful on the body can change the beats per minute. So we use these tests as guides, not as the absolute be all end of testing, like this is it. These are great tools for you to have. So you use these tests along with awareness around like other biomarkers and symptoms, your sleep, hunger, mood, energy, cravings, so your SHMEC. And then also, if you wanted, you could combine with pathology tests as well. But all of these are tools to kind of help you on your journey. But definitely these two, they can be helpful. I mean, women have been tracking their body temperature for ovulation and fertility for a long, long time. I mean, it can be helpful for sure, especially if you feel like you're not getting the answers that you want or feel you should get from other sources. All of these little tools, they can help you help yourself. So hopefully you found that helpful. Bye-bye.